Well, according to my watch here, it is actually 2020. So, if it's 2020 and we've just started a brand new decade, let's talk about some of the great films that are going to be coming out this year. Now, before I start, you may notice here my colleague Rick is not here with us today, based on the fact that Rick is away on holidays and doesn't have time. Me, however, I'm more than happy to use my vacay time to talk about some of the movies. Only kidding, Rick. We look forward to seeing you back on in the studio next week. But we would be remiss, I thought, in this first day of the new decade, not to talk about what's coming out. So I've got a list here of some of the films that are being released in 2020. And I thought, you know what, let's just browse through and have a look and see what's awesome and maybe what's not so awesome. So let's not muck around, let's get started. Oh, before we get started, of course, guys, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all our social medias. That's really, really important to us. And super important too is that you comment below, especially on this video here too. I mean, what are you guys looking forward to, you know? But before we have those discussions, let's have a look and see what's coming out. So let's get cracking straight away. And we kick off in January. Wow, January is known as Dump Month. Usually this is a month put aside for films that are not working on the level of being a big blockbuster, or the studio's a bit nervous at how it's going to be received, and they'll throw it into January. Well, let's have a look at what's coming out here. Straight away, you've got a remake of The Grudge. Sarah Michelle Gellar, one in 2006, I believe, or 2007 came out, and was well received, but they've decided to do another remake. Don't know much about it. Maybe it's good or not. And look, there's a list of, you know, very interesting titles here on this list. But really, the things that step out to me probably come out on the same day, on January 17th, which is Bad Boys for Life. The third Bad Boy movies. Will Smith. You know, Martin Lawrence, they're back again. We've already done some trailer reviews on them. Doesn't look too bad. And my first instinct was, oh my god, this is coming out in January. It's going to be a pile of shit. But it's actually being released on the Martin Luther King holiday weekend, which kind of makes sense, I suppose, in some ways. But I'll be super interested to check that out. I mean, the third Bad Boys, you know, you can say what you like about those other two films, but they are highly entertaining. The next one that comes out, which is one I'm very about, is Dolittle, Dr. Dolittle. Now, we've seen a remake of the original 60s classic made a few years ago with Eddie Murphy, who's currently having a bit of renaissance. Eddie Sons. Well, he's back anyway in a big bad way. That wasn't a great film, that old Dr. Dolittle. But this one here, it doesn't look any better. Robert Downey Jr. Who doesn't love Robert Downey? I mean, we all love him. Iron Man, for F's sake. But this one seems like they're trying to harken back to the old classic. But every bit of footage I've seen, it doesn't work for me. So I'm probably not going to take a big hit at that one. Now, the rest of January, I don't see anything that really strains out to me. So we're going to move on to February. And February gets a bit of a start straight off the bat because we have Birds of Prey coming out on the 7th of February. Birds of Prey. Pseudo spin-off sequel to Suicide Squad. We're seeing Margot Robbie reprise her role. Really the only one from Suicide Squad who's reprising their role. And we've got the Birds of Prey characters from DC. We've got Ewan McGregor in there. Look, the trailers have looked okay. They have looked okay. But Harley Quinn is a character that really deserves a solid film. And I'm hoping Birds of Prey, the emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Let's hope it works. You know, DC have been on a good run lately. We know they're doing some quality. I mean, the Joker, I mean, from last year, it's probably easily in my top 3 of the year. Alright, we move down from February, and we keep looking down the list here. Fantasy Island. It comes out the following February 14th. Fantasy Island. They play, much they play. That's what I remember. Ricardo Montalban. But they've gone a different direction. Apparently this remake of the classic TV series is done as a horror. They've gone out at a horror angle, which if you've seen some of the clips and the trailer, which definitely go check out, it's an interesting take and something I reckon I'd be interested in having a look at. The other big one that comes out on February 14th, Valentine's Day, is Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, Sonic the Hedgehog had a hell of a year in 2019 when I started to... We got the first bit of footage of Sonic the Hedgehog and people flipped out at how Sonic looked. He really didn't look like a character at all. But they went back, they redid, they listened to the general public, and the redesign of Sonic, to me, is smick. It is excellent. I'm pretty happy with what they've done there. And the second trailer, actually I thought, look, this film may be better than we're kind of expecting. But, you know, you're not going to be seeing anything too serious in this film. I think it's one of those films that's either going to really work or it isn't, you know, so... Alright, let's move down. I mean, what else is coming out? I'm looking down the list here that kind of grabs me. The Invisible Man comes out February 28th, which is a horror Blumhouse remake of the Invisible Man concept. And we've had some good Invisible Man movies over the year. Maybe except for Memoirs of an Invisible Man. But certainly there have been some really good interpretations of this story. I really like the trailer for this one. I think it's going in a real dark, interesting direction. So that'll be one I probably will check out on streaming for sure. Now let's get into March, guys. March, we start to see some of these bigger titles starting to come through this time of year. And now, the first one off the back, I think, in March the 6th, is Pixar's Onward, which is our animated film that you may have seen. We've done a trailer reaction on it. You've got Chris Pratt and Tom Holland playing titular kind of... It's a world where the medieval fantasy, you know, fairies and gargoyles and all that, they exist, and they're set in a modern time. So they live in a modern universe where everything is, but they're still these fantasy characters. Either way, it's really about a story about finding one's father and reconnecting and family. I mean, Pixar always have phenomenal storylines and subtext, and overall are highly entertaining and funny. And this movie looks funny as well. Right, now, come down to March 13. Now, I don't know, I'll be really honest with you. He's not here to defend himself, but I think Rick is really looking forward to Bloodshot, the Vin Diesel comic book adaptation of Bloodshot. I'm not, because as far as I'm concerned, Vin Diesel is just not making stuff that I'm finding very interesting lately, you know. I mean, to me, his best character that he's done in his whole career was Groot, and where he says, I am Groot. That's it. Not my thing, but I do think, he may deny it, but I do think Rick is looking forward to that one. And you know what? He's allowed to. Anyway, let's move on to March 20. March 20, well, this is a film I'm really excited about, because when the first one came out, like most people, were blown away at the intensity of the film. And what I'm talking about is A Quiet Place Part 2. A Quiet Place, what a surprise movie when that came out. Directed by John Krasinski, starring John Krasinski from The Office, and his amazing talented wife, Emily Blunt. That film was phenomenal, and to see that they're doing the sequel, well, that's great, and something I'm really kind of interested to see where they take this storyline. So, mind you, A Quiet Place, if I lived in that universe, man, I would have been dead in like the first 5 minutes of that alien invasion. I'm not someone known for their quietness. Let's move on to March 27. Now, this movie, we see some of the big Disney releases are starting to come out at this point. And that one is Mulan, their live adaptation of their 1997, I believe, animated film release of Mulan. Honestly, out of all the adaptations they've made so far, this looks the most serious. This looks the most less Disney-esque, if that's such a thing. They've gone really serious with this one, and it looks epic. It looks great. They're certainly very influenced from Chinese cinema. Certainly influenced by epic movies, and it looks really great. And you know, there's no whitewashing here, which is really great. All the characters are obviously appropriate for their role. So, look, Disney, what do they have? Maybe a 50-50 split on their live adaptations? Who knows? Let's move on to April. we're getting to April 2020 already, and what's coming out in April that's going to blow us away? Well, apparently, after 75 years in production, we're going to see the New Mutants come out on April 3rd. Finally, after all this time. Unfortunately, the New Mutants, which is a X-Men spin-off, I suppose, set in that X-Men universe, is kind of got lost in the Disney-Fox merger. And it looked like it was going to be on the shelf, and we were never going to see it. But finally, it looks like it's going to get released, so I'm pretty keen to check out what direction they went with. The behind the scenes were, when they released that first trailer, which showed it as a horror film, like a teen horror film, apparently isn't what they shot. So they had to go back and reshoot a lot of the film to kind of match the vibe that they had put out in the trailer, so which was interesting. Let's move on to April 10. Now, mate, when it comes down to it, I'm a huge Bond fan, and I mean, who isn't at this point, you know? And we're going to get to see Daniel Craig's last iteration of James Bond in No Time to Die. Now, so far, No Time to Die, the trailers, the footage, it looks great, but they all have. And unfortunately, Daniel Craig's Bond films has been hit, miss. And what I mean is Casino Royale, which is my personal favourite Bond film of all time. Then we had Quantum of Solace, which I still don't know what that movie's about. Skyfall, which was excellent. And then Spectre, which was ultimately disappointing. But No Time to Die, hopefully they can knock it out of the park and send away Daniel Craig, you know, in an epic movie. Now, let's have a look down here where we've got now. I don't see much else coming out for April that really kind of grabs me. So let's move on down to May. Now, May 1st, we're hitting off May in a big bad way. This is Marvel Studios' first film in Phase 4. I mean, I suppose Spider-Man was, if it's a Sony pick. But of course, I'm talking about Black Widow. And man, I expected this to be a smaller Marvel film, but the trailers have shown otherwise. It looks fantastic. It's definitely a great way for Scarlett to probably show a real different side of Black Widow and, you know, send her off in an epic way. So I'm really excited to see Black Widow. Oh, and if you guys are wanting to know, I thought she died. Spoiler alert. She did die, and this film is set directly after Civil War in a time where she still was alive. So that looks fantastic. Me and Rick will definitely be there opening weekend. There's no question on that. And we'll be pumping out, obviously, a pretty intensive review when it comes to Marvel films. Let's move on, though. Coming down to May the 8th, Legally Blonde 3. I didn't even know that was coming out. There's been no marketing material. I don't know if that's correct or not, or maybe that's assumed that might come out. But Reese Witherspoon coming back again? Hell, why not? I actually really like the first Legally Blonde. I would say that's actually a really enjoyable movie. Second one, not so much. Alright, what are we looking down here now? Where Scoob is probably one that needs to be highlighted. The Scooby-Doo CGI kind of remake, an origin story of Scooby-Doo by the looks of it. Looks fun, looks really centered around the kids, and honestly, I hope it works. I mean, the Scooby-Doo franchise has been around for 40 odd years, and I grew up with it. I love them. And I certainly didn't mind the films too much either. I mean, I know they weren't perfect, but this is full CGI. Looks kind of fun, looks sweet. Hopefully they make an entertaining film. May 22nd, well, I hate to be bringing up Vin Diesel again, but it looks like I got to, because we're getting Fast and Furious 9. I think that's the title at this point. No one's really made any changes on that one. So, yeah, what can it be like? I mean, Hobbs and Shaw, boom. How brilliant was that? I had a great time with Hobbs and Shaw. That movie knew exactly what it was. It was so much fun to watch. And I think Fast and Furious 9 better really step up their game this time, or they might find themselves in the shadow of The Rock and Jason Statham. Alright, moving down, we've got... Yeah, what else is coming out? We've got a movie called Artemis Fowl that's coming out May 29th. I'm going to talk more about that in another video. That's a really interesting adaptation that they're doing, but we'll get to that later on in the year. June 2020. We're kicking into it. We're getting month 6 already into 2020. And what's coming out? I mean, I don't think there's anything bigger that month. Then Wonder Woman 84. Wonder Woman 84. I mean, everybody loved Wonder Woman. I think they handled that film so well. I think Gal Gadot, against a lot of people's expectations, did exceptionally well as Wonder Woman, and really held that film together quite well. It had some problems in the third act, like a lot of comic book films do, but essentially it was a really great film for 2017. This I'm really excited about to see. I've seen, obviously, the latest trailer come out. It looks fun, it looks bright, it looks colourful. I don't know much more to say about Wonder Woman, except, again, me and Rick will be there. Opening weekend, we'll be checking out Wonder Woman 84 for sure. Now, let's have a look down here. We've got some couple of interesting things coming out as well. Probably one I want to mention is a remake of Candyman. And I do believe this is another Blumhouse production. Jordan Peele, I think, has got something to do with this, if I'm correct. So, I love Candyman. I mean, that was one of those horror films from the late 80s, early 90s I absolutely adored. And even now and again, you'll see me in front of a mirror going, Candyman, Candyman, and then chickening out. So, move on to another Pixar release, which is really weird. We've got 2 Pixar releases within 2 months of each other. I think this is unheard of. And that is Pixar's Soul. Now, we've only seen a little teaser trailer so far of what Soul is, but it really does look beautiful. It really does. I mean, what they've shown us, it's about dealing with people's soul, and how that... well, that's all we know. I can't even tell you the meaning behind it, because I don't even really know. All I know, it's Pixar, so you're going to be crying at some point, you're going to be laughing at some point, and you know you're going to have a good time. But really, June ends up on a big high, well, hopefully, with the long-awaited sequel, which will be 35 years in the making, will be the sequel to Top Gun with Top Gun Maverick. Wow. Which, I think we're all still kind of blown away it is, and what we've seen so far of the trailers, they look really good. So, at the photography, they're not mucking around, and this is good. Love or hate Tom Cruise, you know when he does his thing, he does it for real. And you can see he's in the plane and stuff like that. I mean, I assume there's another pilot there, but looks fantastic. So, I'm in. I think Top Gun will be a massive hit. And to be honest with you, Paramount really need a big hit at the moment. They've not had a good few years. So, I will be looking forward to checking out that. Alright, let's move now to July, the later half of 2020. Let's have a look and see what's coming out. It's a big month, July in 2020, actually, with a couple of big releases. And I suppose we could start it off with July 3rd, which was Free Guy. Free Guy. A movie that kind of come out of nowhere. There was a trailer dropped a couple of weeks ago. Ryan Reynolds playing a character in a video game. It looks funny. It looks sweet. It's got Ryan Reynolds' humour in it. I think it's going to be a really good time, and it's geared toward the gamers, the way it kind of works and that. I thought the trailer looked fantastic. I mean, let's be honest, Ryan Reynolds can't even do wrong. I watched that Six Underground on Netflix currently lately. Not a great film, but God, he's just good in everything, isn't he? So I definitely would like to check out Free Guy, but really, it's July 10, and I mean, I know my colleague here who just pumped out a video just talking about some of the promotional material for this film, so check it out on our channel. It's Rick doing it from the Rick Cave back at his house, and that's talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife. Wow, this is a film that I am really interested in seeing what's happened. I mean, of course, I love the original Ghostbusters, and I was at the right age when that came out. It came out in 84. I was 10 or 11. It was a big film for the time, and when you talk about oversaturation in the marketplace, you couldn't go anywhere in 84 without seeing someone wear a Ghostbusters t-shirt or Ghostbusters posters. Ghostbusters was everywhere. Obviously, the 2016 sequel, well, not a sequel, a spin-off, a remake, a reimagining, fell flat for audiences. This one is a true sequel to the Ghostbusters 1 and 2. And the trailers, as you can see, even though it's only a teaser trailer, there looks to be a lot of heart in this film. So, but what I do want to see out of the next trailer is a lot more comedy, because you're going to remember, at its core, the original Ghostbusters is a comedy. That's exactly what it is. the sci-fi element and everything else that goes with that film really serves the comedy. So, look, without question, we will be there to check it out, and fingers crossed they're able to, reignite that Ghostbusters franchise. Now, let's move on to July 17th. There's a couple of films here. One I didn't even know that was coming out, but the other one, which we just did a reaction on, was Christopher Nolan's next film, Tenet. Man, he loves dealing with time and stuff like that, doesn't he? I really couldn't make a lot of sense what was going on in the trailer, except it looked amazing. And, in Christopher Nolan I trust, so I know he's going to deliver something that is going to be, hopefully, really enjoyable to check out. But the other film that's apparently been released on that day is Bob's Burgers. Now, I'm a big Bob's Burgers fan, and there is no bigger fan than my wife. She absolutely adores Bob's Burgers. And also, they're getting a theatrical release, which I had no idea about. The following week, though, we get another Disney film, and this time it's not an adaptation of a, animated film. It's actually an adaptation of one of their rides, a la Pirates of the Caribbean. They're now doing Jungle Cruise, starring The Rock and Emily Blunt. It looks a bit of fun. It looks like they're harkening back to the old 1940s banter, that kind of relationship, a bit of African Queen in there. It looks fun. It looks enjoyable. I definitely want to go and check that out. So, moving on for the rest of that month, there's not much. Oh, July 31st. A little film that, I'm interested in seeing because it's flying under the radar at the moment, and that is Sony's Morbius, based on the comic book character by Marvel, The Living Vampire, and it's starring, of course, Jared Leto. So, I'll be really interested to see what they're going to do with that. I mean, Sony had been stuck many years what to do with Spider-Man. They were mishandling him. Marvel came in and helped out. But then they pumped out Venom, which wasn't a great film. But $800 million at the box office says they were doing something right well enough for not only that film to get a sequel, but for them to start trying adapting other characters that are currently under Sony's control. So, Morbius, we haven't seen any footage yet. I'll be very interested to check it out. Alright, well that wraps up July. Let's move down to August now. August, usually you're getting to the tail end of the summer blockbuster season. And, that doesn't mean good films aren't out there. And let's have a look in here. There's nothing really grabbing me down on this list except maybe, August 21st. And that's probably one that most of us who grew up in the 80s are delighted to see they're making a sequel, although probably unnecessary. We all want to see Bill and Ted Face the Music. Look, it's great with Keanu. We have the Keanu songs. I mean, he's just in everything at the moment, which is awesome. But to see these two guys back playing those characters so many years after the sequel, God. It's not going to be the best film in the world, but I reckon there'll be some laughs in there. And what can I say? Bill and Ted's, awesome. Bring it on. Alright, and really, August 28th finishes off the month with a sequel to another surprise film of 2017, which was The Hitman's Bodyguard. Great film. Samuel Jackson, Ryan Reynolds again. Brilliant. Fantastic. Loved it. Well, they bring out a sequel, The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, which is a really smart way to go in my book, because one of the great things about The Hitman's Bodyguard was Salma Hayek, who was just hilarious in that film. And it seems to be the film has kind of spun around her character this time around. So, yeah, sounds really great. Okay, we move into September. Now, September is known for one of those months where we start to get to see horror films come in, and we're starting to head towards the more prestige films of the year. So let's have a look and see what's pumping out that month. And really, there's a couple here that actually I'm interested in looking at. It's September 11th. Bad date, I know. But they've got another Conjuring movie out. And you know what? Me and my wife, we love these Conjuring films. We love to be spooked and scared. And we love Vera Farmiga in it. She's wonderful. And the other guy who I've got blank on, Patrick, you know who I'm talking about anyway. Third movie. Bring it on. Me and the wife will go and check that out, because we like things that go bump in the night. So we'll be excited for that one. September 18, though, we see the release of The King's Man, the prequel to the Kingsman series. Now, I knew the vibe was out there. I remember Rick talking to Rick about it. He was like, no. But Rick will tell you, I think he was blown away at the trailer that we saw for the prequel. Looks really exciting. We're seeing the origin of what the Kingsmen are. And a fantastic cast by the looks of it again. So, I'll be definitely checking that out. I won't muck around for sure. Right, that pretty well. There's not much else in September that's worth probably noting. We move into October 2020 now, and let's have a look and see what we got. Well, October 2nd sees the release, apparently, of Venom 2. Now, that's going to be exciting. As I just spoke about before, Venom was a big hit. Huge hit. $800 million in the bank. And Tom Hardy's character of Venom was done so well. In fact, that was the most positive thing I can say about Venom, is that every time Tom Hardy or Venom were on screen, it was awesome. Every time they weren't, it was garbage. So let's hope they can do better. We got Woody Harrelson back apparently as Carnage, so who did a tiny little cameo at the end of it. So let's hope that knocks it out of the park. All right, moving on from there, what have we got? Oh, we've got another Agatha Christie remake coming. We had Murder in the Orient Express a couple of years ago, which was quite good. And now we're doing Death on the Nile, which is another famous Agatha Christie book, and it's been remade as a TV movie. It's been made as a movie in the past. So, look, I think that might be all right. So, but October 16 is a big one because we're going to get to see Halloween Kills, the sequel to the Halloween movie that was released last year, 2 years ago in 2018, first day of 2020. Yeah, look, what can you say? I mean, like that sequel to the original Halloween movie that they made was phenomenal. Jamie Lee Curtis as a gun-toting, ass-kicking grandma, she rocked. So I'm definitely keen to see the sequel to that Halloween film. I think it will be a lot of fun. Alright, let's move now into November 2020. Now, November is usually known for, we get a couple of big blockbusters because we're getting around Thanksgiving holiday in America and all that type of thing. So we're seeing a couple of big films come out in that month of 2020. And the big one is The Eternals. Marvel Studios' The Eternals. Now, this is a real different direction for Marvel Studios there. This is a film I think they're taking a lot of risks on, and they're throwing all in this. Of course, it's starring Angelina Jolie as well as the rest of the cast, which is fantastic. Look, I don't know if I want to talk about it much at this point because I have an impression of the Eternals, what I know about it from the comic books, but knowing Marvel Studios, they always take things in a slightly fresh, different direction. So I will be interested to start seeing footage of the Eternals, but it's Marvel Studios, and in Feige we trust, don't we, at this point? So we'll see what that one's like. Now, keep going down the list here. Probably the big one I probably want to also note is Godzilla vs. Kong. Now, this promises to be something spectacular, but unfortunately the films that they've released recently with Godzilla and Kong have been, I like Kong Skull Island, didn't love it, but I liked it. But Godzilla King of the Monsters did not sit well with me. So, it looks like they're going all in, making Godzilla and Kong fight and all this kind of stuff. So, I don't know, man. Is there something I want to see? I don't know. I'm going to have to see some footage. Maybe it'll get me interested to go to the cinema and check it out. Well, Kaya and the Last Dragon. I don't know anything about this, but the rumours through the industry are this animated film is going to be huge. That's all I know. So, we can talk about that later on when we see more footage. And then we get to December 2020. We're going to see some interesting films this month. And usually December in the last 5 years has all been about Star Wars. But that's not so this year. We obviously Star Wars is taking a theatrical break for the next few years. So it means December's freed up a bit for some other big event films. And what kind of big films have they got coming out? Well, Coming to America 2 probably stands out on December 18th. Eddie Murphy's back in a big bad way, and we look like we've got that sequel coming right around Christmas time. Look, even if it's 50% as good as the last one, it's going to be a great film. So it's good to see Eddie back in his prime. And if you hadn't checked out that SNL, Saturday Night Live he did a couple of weeks ago. Fantastic. Brilliant. Got to check it out. So hilarious. But also, we get to see Denis Villeneuve's Dune. Now, this promises to be... Now, anyone who liked Denis Villeneuve, I like to think, as a filmmaker, is quite intellectually smart. I mean, like, at the end of the day, he doesn't make dumb films. Every film he makes, from my impression, there's always so much heart and thought and passion that goes into it. I mean, honestly, Blade Runner sequel was, if not better than the original, it was a phenomenal film, you know. The Arrival, I think he did as well, which is just incredible as well. Dune is such a hard material to kind of take a handle on. I mean, they obviously did the film by David Lynch in the early 80s, which was a bit of a mishmash. Then they did a miniseries, I think, in the early 2000s, which was okay. But to actually make Dune this giant, epic, cinematic film that everyone's going to go and see, it's a hard ask, but I can't wait to see footage. I mean, no matter what, I personally will be checking this film out. The other film probably worth noting as well is West Side Story. West Side Story, we all know, is the 1950s classic movie based on the classic musical. But this is Steven Spielberg's iteration of it. So it's worth noting because it's Spielberg. What do you say? Everything else that comes out that month doesn't really kind of grab me. Now, this is based on a list that I've checked out on the internet. Now, with release schedules, things change, things get moved around. There might be films that are brought forward, there might be films that are brought back. But at this moment in time, on January 1st, 2020, they're the films that are coming out. And you know what? I'm super excited. I think it promises to be an interesting film. A year-in film. And you know, me and Rick will be here over the year to comment, talk about, share our experiences, see some of the trailers, and all that great stuff. So, from Jason, and not from Rick, because he's away doing something, we'll see you throughout the year, guys, and thanks for watching.